Hello, folks. Live. Okay, I see them. How are you guys? Good morning from Thailand. It's an absolutely gorgeous day, and I am ready to answer questions for you. Let me know what you would like to find out. Hello, hello. Fire away. I'm ready. Question. What are the key signs that I struggle with low self-esteem? Okay, so we're getting off to a good start here. I'm going to repeat that question. What are the key signs that I struggle with low self-worth? So let me ask you a question. As you're living your life in your relationships and where you work and so forth, are you compromising your personal values, your personal truth, or are you living your personal values and your personal truth? This is one of the reasons why one of my most key fundamental teachings of depth healing and of Dr. G. Rex Crewley as sensei, all the different hats I wear. Identify your core values in each area of your life, and then your task is to make everything in your life in each area congruent with your values. If you're unable to do that, you have low self-worth. Okay, I hope I answered that question. Carl, question. How can I value myself more to know that I don't have to constantly be serving others without serving myself? How can I relax more? And he says, thank you, brother. Okay, my brother. So, how can I value myself more? Now, these days they call everybody, mostly men. They don't address women this way, and they use the word narcissistic. So I want you to I want you to take the word narcissistic, just throw it out the window, because 99.9% of all the people who identify stuff as narcissistic don't know any more about narcissism than I know about mountain climbing. So the first thing you have to do is value yourself. I don't mean in an egotistical way, but you see, the fact of the matter is, Carl, and all of my listeners, if you weren't here, I'm not here, the sun's not here, uh, nothing's here, your computer isn't here, nothing's here. You're there. Your ears are hearing my voice. If you're not there, I'm not there. For you, I'm here for whoever else is listening, but for you, I'm not there. So you actually are the center. Later in higher consciousness, and don't get me wrong, I've experienced this, but I do not live there. As an enlightened being, the higher the enlightenment, because enlightenment is levels, a person eventually merges with the great compassionate light itself, and everything is just one. So we actually are everything, and everything actually is us. But that's a long story, and we're not going to go there. The thing that to value yourself is to say, for instance, let's say you work at a company and they don't want to pay you very much. but the company's making money because you're working there. If nobody works there, the company doesn't have. That's why the Japanese, I love the Japanese because they cherish the people who they honor their employees. So you honor yourself like that. Number one. Number two, um, like with money, we say when you get paid, you take some money out of that for you first. You pay your bills with what's left over, but you budget yourself first. That's honoring yourself and building your self-worth. I lived for decades where as soon as you get the money, you're paying your debts, and you buy this and you buy that and you pay these bills and that, and there's nothing left. I lived for decades like that. Don't And that's because my self-worth and self-image was systematically destroyed, not intentionally, but by Kushida, my first teacher, because of his martial teaching method. But at the age of 27, I was identified by um, clinical psychologist, what was his name? Dr. Ray Daly. I had a zero self-image, self-worth, zero, because I had taken his teaching literally, and I had been studying with him since I was 18 or 19, and I had zero, nothing. I had to rebuild all of that. He helped me. It took me 3 years. So that's how you start to value yourself. You have to understand where you are in the scheme of things. You're in the center, okay? Relaxing, you come to see me. You keep coming in for your privates. You do the collectives, do the privates, and it's a process. How to value yourself more is a process. If you have cognitive dissonance in there and negative imprints, if you have any kind of CMOS, which stands for sympathetic emotional memory override, the last word in CMO is override. Override means it blocks everything, and it always will, unless it's removed. That's why people get on post-traumatic stress syndrome. They're using different types of cognitive models and medication. Doesn't mean a damn thing. You got to eliminate the CMO. I'm able to do that in a matter of minutes, but we have to find it, and that means you come in and see me. Okay. All right. Next question, please. I love these questions. These are excellent, guys. Kimberly, so where does the self-worth program reside? Is it passed down from the mother as well, or is it because of all life circumstance? Kimberly, I love you. So this is a very profound question. Listen carefully, guys. She's saying or asking, where does the self-worth program reside? So this is like I could talk for many hours on this. Here's the way this goes. This is why if you've been with privates with me, you've noticed the structure of the session, which has been led to me through the divine. Nobody knows this kind of thing. So what happens is an initial download occurs. The initial download, fundamentally, you can bring it in program 1, or you can inherit it from program 2, from genetic inheritance. But fundamentally, across 99% of my clients worldwide, it's going to come used in the 3rd or the 4th program. But the way it works is So the third program begins at your conception as an egg in mom and sperm in dad at the moment of the conception. And then through mom's womb, the birthing process in the first 6 hours of life is the third program. Fourth program from the first 6 hours until you turn 7. Pardon me. Fifth program from age 7 until the age you are now. What happens is there's an initial imprint or download. It can come from mom, dad, or both, from a television set, from a relative, from a nurse or a doctor, from anything. But there's an initial imprint or download. And then it's like a little snowball. You know, when you have wet snow, not dry snow, when you have wet snow and you make a little snowball and you just roll it, it gathers and builds and gets bigger and bigger and bigger because everything sticks to it. So something that hits self-worth, that you don't have any self-worth, is initiated, and then the reticular activating, it's like the reticular activating center of your brain. It's looking for what it's focused on, and anytime something related to that occurs, a behavior, an expression on mom or dad's face, an inflection in voice, anything, it gloms on to that imprint. So all these different imprints, millions and millions and millions of them, they gather as we go. And self-worth is simply one of those. You could call it, if you want to use neurology, you can say you develop a specific neural net. It's more than that, because neural net is just in the brain. The consciousness is in the field. But did I answer that question? That includes life circumstances, all of it. But that's how this works. I disassemble those. I find my procedure given to me by the divine is I locate the initial download and I disassemble that all the way until we're past the age of 7. That'll knock out all of the foundational imprints holding up the problem. Then we come up to the present day, find out if there are any active programs still creating and sustaining low self-worth, in this case, low self-worth. And then I shut that off. And now you can really grow. That's when you receive Diksha. And then with those walls gone, the Diksha is free to really, really work from the divine. That is the procedure of depth. That's why depth healing is in a class by itself. It just is. Next. From depth healing. The next one isn't a question, but comes in 4 parts. So you'll have to wait for it. Okay, I'm waiting. When I first found you a year ago, my self-worth was garbage. You had spoken about the 81,000 and I didn't think I was worthy. This is from Kimberly. You told me to ask for a specific sign, and I did. I still didn't feel worthy. You told me I wouldn't have been chosen otherwise. That's right. I no longer doubt my worthiness. Thank you. You're very welcome. Remember to thank the divine. I'm glad, honey. That's really important. From August, how can I eliminate or reduce fears or insecurities It caused feelings of low self-worth. Okay, August, very, very nice question. Sometimes I'll wake up in the morning or even in the afternoon sometimes. And especially this year and the end of 2024. And there's some kind of a fear in me. I haven't been able to identify what it is, but it's some kind of a fear. It just makes me feel uneasy. What that means is when you have a fear, something wants to be cleared and removed. The something is reaching consciousness, even if, like me, it's vague. But consciousness is ready, or at least partially ready, to become aware of it so that it can be dealt with and removed. There is nothing, and this isn't me talking, this is the Param Jyoti, great compassionate light itself talk. There is nothing that can be cleared if it's not conscious, if you're not ready to look at it. I don't give a damn what it is. That is the process. You can try to mask it, you can take drugs, you can do that ayahuasca stuff, whatever, but nothing's going to clear unless it comes up. So the fears, if you're aware of those or you feel those, that's when you come in to see me. That's my specialty. We'll search it together and we will eliminate it. Now, whether we can eliminate it in one session or several, does it really matter? No, not if you really value yourself. See, one of the reasons that I made it to where I am, because I used to live, if you saw how I lived for 30 years, you'd never believe it. Self-worth and all, money and all, relationships and everything. The only reason I made it is I never, ever give up. I have never relented. Now I'm with the 81,000 and I'm in a 24/7, 365 days a year process of evolution, spiritual, physical, all of it. Because if you give up or you think you can do everything in one shot and then you're going to move on, you're never going to go very far at all. We can only clear, when you see me, when any of you see me, what we're clearing is what is available in your consciousness that it's ready to look at. The wound I had with my mom took me 40 years to find it. I wasn't ready. I was always ready to attack dad, blame dad, and work on my dad. But mom, it took me a long time. And then when I saw it, when I was ready, it cleared very fast. And suddenly, in a matter of months, I found myself living in Southeast Asia. That's how big these kind of the growth can be. There's transformations different than translation. Translation means it's the same room, but you rearrange the furniture. It looks different. Transformation is an other level. And you can transform up, which is evolution. You can transform down, which would be like, say, a nervous breakdown or something like that. Okay, did I answer that question? I hope. Shiba, how to get out of survival mode? Man, I'll tell you. It takes some time. It's a process, honey. Here's how you get out of survival mode. I did that, so I can speak to it. Um, survival mode now is harder than it ever was. It's always hard. You know, if you're a caveman, you got to survive. If you can't find any food, you starve to death. In the winter, if you couldn't get warm, you freeze to death. But nowadays, because of the way they have social media and the internet, they're able to program everybody to literally, um, they can't see the conscious. They've programmed things in such a way that your consciousness and your brain, your reticular activating center, is seeing what you don't have, what it isn't working, and focused on things you have no control over. And it if you have let's say your total energy is 10, means 100%. You've only got about 20 or 30% energy left for to actually rise up and out. This is why this question leads why I'm doing mentoring now. Mentoring is a whole other new division of my depth healing approach for you, because this kind of question, you need my mentorship. We can't just do it. Couldn't just answer this right now because it's on many levels. But you need to have a strategy. You need the consciousness. We have to remove the cognitive dissonance that blocks you, and we have to raise consciousness up. Always remember, depth healing is always raises your consciousness. Whether you notice it initially or not doesn't make any difference. It's always raising because the neural nets in your brain and the negatives that are removed are always raising your frequency. Always. It cannot be otherwise. So, how to get out of survival mode right now, Sheba? The thing to do is what I mentioned earlier. If you haven't already, get out a lot of paper and a pen. Get some private time where there's no disturbances at all. And this may take you days. I've done this sometimes 5 6 days in a row, and you start to identify your values. You got to really get down to the very core values. Each area of your life, every area you can think of or identify, and then you set yourself the goal. I'm going to make everything in that area that I do, that I live, the way I work, everything, the way I dress, everything is going to be congruent with those values in that area. That will start to give you flow. That'll give you power. And then that will lift you up and you start to climb. And then the other thing is, just like a map, people will say to me, where do you live? I'm in Pattaya, and I always say, I don't know, because I don't know. I don't know the map of Pattaya. So I have a GPS, and the GPS, just the cab takes me to this hotel, but I don't know where the hell it is. Just I know it's in Pattaya. You have to know where you want to go. And if you to know where you want to go, you have to know where you are. That kind of map I know very well. So set yourself identify very clearly. That's why the value system will give you qualitatively who you want to be, how you want to live. Then, once that's set, look at the reverse. Where are you? Or not necessarily the reverse, but where are you relative to that ideal? The values are your ideal. Now you can start to apply your energy. And if you do that, that's what I did, especially in 2015. I began when I arrived in Thailand on April in 2015. And honest to God, it really, really works. But remember, I had all my help. I've done decades of clearing cognitive dissonance, in invoking the divine, receiving grace, having dikshas. You have it, it's the process of life is a beautiful thing. That's why we came to earth. That's why we're here, to engage this process called life. And when we die, then we have to engage that process. Nothing ends. So it's not a thing. I don't consider life as things. It's all process. Okay, and by all means, engage me in the mentorship. The mentorship now, folks, is available since February, beginning of this February, this month, and you just get a hold of me, and I will be your personal guide, and we'll whatever it is, we'll take it on. Okay. All right. Let me move to the next one. Let's see here. Best to read in two parts. Okay, two parts. Tumaini, Tumaini. I hope I'm saying that correctly. How do I stop letting fear dictate? How to stop letting fear dictate your life? And okay, August 1, 2, 3. Thanks for asking that question. My question is specific to how can I not let fear and hate stop me from being heart centered and being in coherence? Beautiful questions. That's a deep question. So let's see if I can give you a deep answer. So, the first thing you want to do is sit down with yourself and ask yourself the question, what are all my different fears? What actually am I afraid of? And write them down. When you write them down, you objectify them. The entanglements will be cut off because you see it objectively on the paper. What am I afraid of? Then, what or who do I hate? What or who do I hate? Those frequencies are attached to downloads and programs. Those downloads and programs, you come and see me, we'll disassemble and disintegrate them. We will eliminate them. As we eliminate them, the triggers, we will identify and remove the triggers attached to them. See, a trigger can only activate if it's there. My camera seems to be foggy right now. A trigger can only activate if it's there. You can only be afraid if you have a fear. You can only hate something if hate is in you. So we have to cognitive strategies will only help a little tiny bit, but they're only overlays. I mean, as soon as you have the environmental trigger or the personal trigger from a human being that activates that fear or that hate, it'll come right up again. Now, when it comes up again, that's a wonderful thing because it tells you it's there. See, I had triggers for what, 7, 8 years here in Thailand by driving. The way they drive, I would become furious. It's all gone. It's actually gone. It's absolutely incredible, but I just don't have a trigger anymore. And so what happens is I am able to just observe what they're doing. No hate, no inner dialogue, criticizing them, calling them name, whatever, nothing. I just observe, a guy driving backwards on a freeway, and there's nothing because the trigger is gone and the anger is gone relative to driving. Am I a saint living as a saint? No. So I have to have my trigger, and the level I'm at now, if something comes up, I see it, and then I have the divine remove it for me. You can have me reach out to me, and I'll reach out to them, and we combine them with quantum physics, and we'll get her done. Okay, very, very good question. Then your heart flowers. Describe how the mentoring program works, its focus versus private. Yeah, Faye. Hello, Faye. Love you, honey. So she wants to know how the mentoring program works versus a private. In a private, we're doing a vertical dive into you with the objective of healing. In a mentoring program, the client is going to have a issue, a life problem, a goal, an objective, and I am going to uh, use my personal experience and channeling the divine to guide the client on the best way to take care of that, to build that. I'm going to take pass on to my client what I have learned and what I know and what other great men and great beings know that I've studied for 54 years. And I'm going to be their personal guide, their personal teacher. And there's nothing more valuable. In this world now, everyone is looking to AI. That's the end of humanity. Not now, but it's the worst thing that could ever happen. Mentoring is the most valuable thing you'll ever learn or ever have. Why? We are human beings, and a human being that is a mentor. That's why boys don't become men anymore, because they don't have mentors anymore. That's the that began at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. That's another conversation. But mentoring is where a living being imparts not only their knowledge. When you see me as a mentor, my energy field, the great William Tiller, the great scientist that worked for Stanford University, is a great spiritual being, and he, in one of his books, I can't remember the name of the book now, in so many years since I read it, But when you study under a master, that you don't just get data. I'm not a data person, and neither are you. We're a living spiritual being. So my energy field and my consciousness, my heart, my connections with a lot, that is all being given to my client relative to our subject and our personal relationship at the time. Same thing when I heal you. But when I heal you, I'm very much removed from the entire equation when I'm healing. When I'm mentoring, is very much Dr. G. Rex Crew. Is my legacy coming through me. So if I inspire you, or if you respect me, and then my mentorship will help you a great deal. I've built many great people: Dan Ziny, Paul Kronowski, Matt Turner, Brett Buckley. Many of them have become great scientists, great doctors. I've trained young men to become U.S. Marines. I've built a lot of people, trained NASA scientists. So if you think I have any brains at all, come on in and see me. I'll do my best for you. Shiba, what steps do I take to become more self-aware of my emotional? Oh, I love this question. Let me repeat the question. What steps do I have to take to become more self-aware of my emotional state? Magnificent question. This is like the crux of for everything. So, um, our conscious brain uh, is only, according to modern neurology, only active about 5% of the day, maximum, only about 5% of the day. Everything else is subconscious. So the trick is looking, right? What you do, Sheba, is it's a process, but what you do is, um, like let's say you took, I'll show you a little trick, age old trick, elastic, right? You put one on your wrist, or if you wear a watch. Dr. Daly taught me you can put like a little dot, sounds like a little sticky thing. Or if you're looking at neuro linguistic programming, they have like they imprint like a physical cue, a certain a finger way of holding your hand, something that it acts as a reminder. And the reminder you want is to ask yourself the question. You just pause. And if you have to, if you can, not when you're driving a car, close your eyes and just ask the question, how am I feeling? What am I feeling right now? You check in all through the day, maybe 2, 3 times an hour. What am I feeling? How am I feeling? So yesterday I had a beautiful day, but in the afternoon, as I was sitting, relaxing, a strange feeling came over me. So all I did was I didn't judge it good, bad, right, wrong, nothing. I just asked myself, what am I feeling? What is that? Now here's the trick. This is listen carefully. When you have a feeling, let's say you're angry, completely resist the tendency to say, I shouldn't feel that. That's wrong. And that'll block and stop all your evolution. And we all do it, eh? We all do it. That's a part of the self. That's self-identity. As long as there's a self, that will always want to happen immediately. That's how the self stays alive. Self is an illusion, but it stays alive because it identifies. The mind identifies with the feeling or the thought, thinks that that's real, and then the story continues, and that low consciousness continues. So what happens is let's say you get angry. All you have to say is, there's anger. If you just do that and look at it, it will very quickly die away. It'll just die away. You'll say, there's anger. Or you say, there's fear. There's worry. And you pause and look at it. But the only way you'll pause and look at it is if you're aware. You have to be aware. And that's why you ask the question, and you can give yourself a prompt, like you, ding, and it stings, and it's the reminder. That's why I wrote my book. And in the book, you check, how am I sitting right now? And you become self-aware of your posture. Do you look like a monkey, or do you look like a lady or a gentleman? How am I talking right now? What kind of voice am I using? One of the things that I used to do, because I was always angry for 30 years, furiously angry and underneath, eh? And then you'd go into 7-Eleven to buy something, and the guy's being rude to you. And it took me 20, 30 years to realize that's because of me. That when you see that guy or that lady reacting like that, you think, if you can, reverse it. As soon as you see them acting like that, say, what am I doing? How am I presenting myself to this person? What am I feeling? What am I projecting? Because that's what they are. They're a mirror for us. That's a very good way to become more self-aware, is your relationships. Whenever you're interacting with anybody in the public, especially people who don't know you or your significant other, they're all mirrors, eh? So the mirror, if you become aware of it, if they're all everything is smooth and nice, you have to be smooth and nice. Otherwise, they won't. They'll be all rough and gruff and rude or distant, or you understand? That's why it was really exciting for me when little tiny children started to really like me. I'd be somewhere, some little child would come running up and just hug my leg. I used to terrify children, terrify them. They wouldn't come in 100 miles of me. Or if they looked at my face, they start crying because I was so full of anger. It's just, and the child feels that. So I knew something really changed in me when that started happening. Did that make sense? Did I answer that question? Depth healing. Can someone have high self-confidence but low self-worth? If so, how does it show up in their life? Very good. That's a beautiful question. Let me read it again. Can someone have high self-confidence but low self-worth? That's just like The answer is very much yes. That's just like where a mistake that I made for a long time was confusing highly educated people, like a really like genius level PhD, and high consciousness. There's no correlation at all. So a person could be very self-confident depending on the field or the area. But as far as self-worth goes, they they have none, and they whatever they're really confident in. Let's say, guys, one of those fellas, like my dad was an electrician for Fords. So my dad was a senior electrician at Ford's, and he's very confident at being an electrician. And my dad was a very good father in that he was a tremendous provider for the family. But as far as self worth goes, um, taking things for himself or receiving praise for his work, uh, you know how you meet someone like often with women, you meet women and you say you look very beautiful today. They can't accept the compliment because they don't feel worthy of that compliment. Or a man will find someone you really love them, and the person you love rejects your love because they can't accept your love. They don't feel worthy, but they're very, very confident at the office. That lady might be like a master accountant, but in terms of feeling worthy of love or worthy of happiness, no. So there's no correlation at all. How does it show up? You just look at the circumstances and you have to just do the examination, like what I was just saying, the different quadrants of life, what they can accept and take in. And one of the ways you can see a person with pretty high self-worth, personal self-worth, if you do compliment them, you'll hear them say thank you. That's all. And they just take it as a matter, and there's no problem with it. If they just say, well, thanks very much, but I need to comb my hair more often or something. Low self-worth. Okay. Did I answer that question? Why do people with low self-worth often settle for toxic relationships? Because they have low self-worth. If you have low self-worth, physical abuse is accepted and they make an excuse for it. Well, he had a bad day, or well, she had a bad childhood, so she acts like that. And they rationalize it, and they suffer in the relationship. The relationship is toxic. They suffer in it, but they rationalize it out, or they put up with it because they don't feel worthy of anything better. Um, Happiness is for other people. My mom wasn't happy. My dad wasn't happy. Why should I be happy? That's why. It's a very sad thing to see. I help in my career now probably a few thousand people who suffer from that exact situation. That's why they got to get in to see me. We have to go in and remove the dissonance and the imprints and the CMOs that keep them in that vibratory frequency. As consciousness comes up and the frequency comes up, means their awareness is higher. Uh, low self-esteem and low self-worth is low consciousness. Let me say that again. Low self-esteem and low self-worth is low consciousness. Living in toxicity is low consciousness. High consciousness, it's either will not happen and it will not be tolerated. It's not necessary because the consciousness is higher. Okay? Shiba, how do I identify if someone is meant to be a part of my life? Ooh, Shiba, you ask good questions. There's a saying in samurai society, you can see it in the book Hagakure. By a long journey, we know a horse's strength. So the length of days reveals a man's heart. Um, Time and alignment. You'll see if they're aligned with you or not, and you have to give yourself time. Now, I've helped or worked with thousands of women who they meet a guy, and because they're lonely or they have low self-worth or low self-esteem, they sleep with him real fast because they want him to love her. And to the lady, by giving herself to him, she wants to express how she feels about him. It's the exact opposite for the man. If she sleeps with him quickly or easily, he might enjoy himself for with the sex, but he'll lose his respect for you. With men, if you're a woman, always make a man prove himself and make a man chase you for an extended period of time. In today's fast paced world, at least 3 months, at least, and make him prove himself. If a man really wants you, he will prove himself. We're genetically designed to do that. We are genetically designed to find our lady, prove ourselves, fight for her, defend her, chase her, and catch her. And he's got to be worthy of you. You have to be worthy of him too. It's a two-way street. But that's the game. And during that game, you'll find out if he's a liar, a cheat, or whatever by watching what he does, where he spends his money. So a man, if it's a man, and nowadays probably women too, they spend their time and money on what they love. It's not like that song, that idiotic song that always cracks me up. Maybe I didn't say anything to you, but you were on my mind. That's all a crock. If he loves you or if you love him, we do everything and anything for the person we love. We'll spend our time and money on them, and we will prioritize those two areas, our time and our money. If you don't, it's a lie. So time and watching what they do, never listen to what they say. Okay? That'll give you a big hand. And one thing I do for people almost every day of the week, if you have a guy or a person and you want to know if you're aligned with them or if they should be a part of your life or not, I can ask the field and give you a direct answer, yes or no. I do it for people all the time. Okay? Next question. The next question pertains to the upcoming collective. Okay? What makes the collective experience different from working on self-worth alone? Okay, so collectives are horizontal sweeps. Now, when we have a collectives are, as far as I know, I'm the only human being in the world who does collective morphic field clearings. I've never heard of anyone or anything other than the divine itself in the 81,000, of course, that can do it on a global level, that can do morphic field physics. But what happens is, once you reach 7 years old, one mathematical model, the lower model, at 40 million bits of information per second, says that your subconscious has approximately 10 quadrillion bits of information. That's like a database, your software. And then if we use the new model, 4 billion bits of information per second, it's much higher. Now, in a collective, what happens is all of those people in the collective that are there, all of their data goes into a field, just like all of the databases that make up Google search engine goes into that cloud. The cloud is always a feed forward, feed backward system. So in a collective, if we're working on self-worth, or if we're working on your big toe, on your right foot, whatever the question is, just like if we had 10,000 laptops and everybody's laptop punches in the same question, exact same question, to the Google Cloud. And all of those they're in multiple languages. So the answer comes in Chinese, the answer comes in Persian, the answer comes in English, the answer comes in whatever. Well, we ask the question. That's why you ask the question with your eyes closed, so your eyes are not causing visual interference with the subconscious question. Because you have 11 million, approximately 11 million sensory receptors as a human being, and 10 million of those 11 million are dedicated to your eyes. So you close your eyes, you ask the question. That opens up your file according to what you're willing and able to look at. So everybody's file is opening up at different levels relative to how many people in the collective to one question. So we have this huge, could never measure it, what is available. And then I'm going to disassemble all of that until we take it to zero. So all of us in the collective helps everybody else. And a big layer of the onion was just removed relative to that single question. This is help you understand just how profound depth healing really is. Depth healing actually makes everything else look pretty trivial. Now, when you do a private with me on self-worth alone, we're looking at your individual field and what happened to you, why your self-worth is low, where it can be built up. And every time you do a private, it'll work on you relative to what you're able to deal with and access at that time. Every time you see me, we're able to go deeper. Or it may be the same depth, but over 1 inch from a different angle. Do you understand? So privates are invaluable and collectives are invaluable. Collective is a broad sweep because we have access to an infinite amount of information. And then I'm working in the cloud. Now, with the collective, I work in the cloud, and then it feeds down to each of those individual people. So everybody benefits. That's why the more, the better, the stronger, the more profound. And then when we do the sweep, remember when you were a little kid and you were curious to see the crickets and stuff, and you'd be walking in the field and there's a flat board there in the grass, and there you when I was a boy, I couldn't resist lifting it up to see what might be underneath that board. With the collective, we lift all this off, and many times it will reveal for you something that was hidden. And all of a sudden, you'll feel worse, or a new pain will come, or a new fear will come. Then you call me, that's when you need the private. The collective is a big, like a revealer. The privates are dissecting very specifically. Okay, next. Time's up, but we could take a few more questions if you like. Absolutely, I love questions. Love questions. Fire away. Sheba, I have upper back discomfort and sometimes pain. And my question is how to know the spiritual meaning of the pain, how to identify if other organs are affected. Sheba, a beautiful question, honey, because the pain talks to us usually in symbolism. Um, if it's upper back pain, the first thing I would want to think about is your heart. Your heart. And next, your lungs. Heart issues, and then the lungs, grief is a big one. That's what killed my sensei, Kushida sensei. Grief. Grief and loneliness, regret. And then the heart wounds. Those are the kinds of things. And you can get, depending on where or how high up the back, can also relate to the shoulders with responsibility. Remember the left side of your body, the past, near or close or far, but past, right side, future, dead center, present moment. Okay, I wouldn't worry about any other organs. I truly, you're a blessing too, Shiva. Love you. Yahweh, how to travel to other countries without fear on a plane. I have a client like that, and she has to travel a lot. She's an opera star. Just get a hold of me, and I'll remove it. That's like a sort of like a phobia. You just have to remove it. Okay, yeah, easy, not difficult. How can I sustain and build upon the breakthroughs I experience in this collective? Ooh, what a great question. How can I sustain and build upon the breakthroughs I experience in this collective? Here we go. This is the process of all, this is the key to everything. So, first, After, oh, I love this question. So after you, this is where mentorship comes in, eh? That's why I'm doing the mentorship program, because when people are having breakthroughs and people are growing so much, and then what do you do, or how do you take care of it? That's where I come in, where I can help. But fundamentally, as you acquire a new consciousness or a new insight, don't lose it. So one, write it down, make a journal. After you work with me, make a journal. When I get counseled by my astrologer numerologist Joshua Siegel, I spend hours. I write everything down. I record his voice. I write everything down. I take active notes while he's talking to me. And then for the next 2 or 3 days, I reread it and I prime my mind and consciousness, especially nowadays because there's so much information bombarding you all day. Things just you hear something, then it just gets tucked away and it's removed to the next fire you have to put out. So you capture, as Jim Rohn would say, the man who was the business mentor for Tony Robbins. Capture these things, capture them on paper, because as you write it, you're using the sense of thinking, looking, writing, and you, if you really want to imprint it, as you're making your notes, speak it, and you will imprint and make neural nets that hold what you acquired. That's how. Next. Kimberly, do the private sessions help with connection to Shyama Bhagavan? Yes, 100 billion%. The question she's asking, which I cherish, is do the private sessions help with connection to Shriyama Bhagavan and the Great Compassionate Light? That's my goal right now. Absolutely 100%, period, done, end of story. And so do my mentorship programs, and so do my collectives. There isn't any work I do that does not bring you into closer contact with the divine. And if you want Shriyama Bhagavan, all of the divine is one. Uh, Different divines have different powers and different specialties. And that's the choice is up to you. I know a few different ones. I serve Shriyama Bhagavan specifically, and that is they form the 81,000. The 81,000's purpose is specifically to free all mankind in a total way, to bring in the golden age. That's what the 81,000 is for. I serve the 81,000 as a sebak. Sebak means that I serve that. There isn't anything I do that is just me. Even when I mentor, it will not just be me. Okay? So that's a beautiful question. 100%. That's why you receive Deekshas. That's why at the beginning of every session, you hear me call in the divine. I just did before this session. I do. There isn't any time I come on here and I'm not channeling and directly connected to the divine Shriyama Bhagavan. Ever. 24/7. Looks like that's a wrap. You truly shine today. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Love all of you so very, very much. Stay in touch. Stay on target. God bless. Bye for now. Love you guys. Love you all. I live for you. Really.